You guys may have heard of Medhi Hassan. He used to work for Al Jazeera, then in American media. Now he's opened his own independent company, and he has a very strong record of playing defense for Hamas, sidelining and avoiding all of the questions regarding their culpability while relentlessly attacking Israel at every opportunity. And he's been doing that a lot also on Piers Morgan. In this clip, he goes head-to-head with Jonathan Conricus, former spokesperson for the IDF. Let's see what happened.
No one was charged. They murdered 15 people. That's the military that Jonathan's come to defend. The most immoral military right now in the world that is bombing hospitals in front of our eyes.
Jonathan?
Yeah, it's, it's various levels of ridiculous. But listen, Mehdi, there's been a job opening. Israel finally got rid of Abu Ubaidah, a very prolific and well-to-do Hamas
You've really got to get better with your Hamas propaganda. You're a racist,
small man.
genocidal, war criminal. You support war criminals. Well, you're trying to put a target on me? Are you and Elon Levy trying to put a target on me? Are you trying to put a target on me? You keep saying I'm Hamas, and you support killing Hamas.
You've done it with Elon, and it won't work with me, little Mehdi. Little Mehdi, you've done that shtick with Elon, it doesn't impress me. But I'm telling you is that if you improve your Arabic just a bit,
you keep saying I'm Hamas based on nothing.
If you improve your Arabic just a bit, I think you are well on track to become a very prolific spokesperson for Hamas.
Your troops engaged in sexual violence against Palestinian women.
Abu Ubaidah.
You're being investigated in the International Criminal Court.
Touting Hamas's
you are part of an army that is committing
you're,
genocide, Jonathan.
Mehdi, you are touting Hamas's propaganda lies. You are regurgitating things from April and from September.
The genocidal Israeli military.
Let me jump in. Jonathan, let me jump in, please.
Israeli military.
All right.
And now you want to kill every journalist that speaks out against you.
Yeah,
you
Jonathan.
killed 5 journalists last week.
Jonathan,
on
that,
but I think you would do an excellent job at replacing Abu Ubaidah.
Your military killed 5 journalists.
Let me ask a question,
please. And you're doing
a
great job. And you're doing a great job as Julius Streicher.
Right, let me ask a question because nobody can hear either of you. Nobody can hear either of you.
That's how history will remember you.
Let me ask you, Jonathan.
Genocide propaganda.
All right. Okay. Well, that's a classic Piers Morgan moment for you there. Everyone's screaming at each other. Piers is the winner of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. We've been saying that, or a lot of people have been saying that. And yeah, I mean, Jonathan Conricus, he speaks very eloquently and he has a lot of facts at his disposal. And it's like recently, from being on Piers Morgan so much, he's kind of gone down a little bit to the level of the discussion on Piers Morgan, which is insults and shouts, calling Medhi little man. But I think like the idea of him being the new spokesperson for Hamas, it's a pretty good argument. I mean, Medhi has been doing the job of trying to whitewash Hamas's culpability in this whole thing and just place the entire blame all the time on Israel. And it's something strange that's been going on now after October 7th, but also before, in how people, because Hamas is so hard to defend with a straight face, you know? Yeah, there are some crazies who go and say, oh, Hamas are these freedom fighters. You had this Brianna Greyjoy. She said Hamas want the region to be more like the US. They want it to be more democratic. And everyone kind of laughed in her face when she was at an event saying that nonsense, as if Hamas are, you know, George Washington or something. So it's very hard with a straight face to just straight up go and say, oh, Hamas are these wonderful, peace-loving freedom fighters. It's difficult to do that. Some people do it, but most people don't. And Medhi doesn't. And many of the other people's on Piers. But then it's strange because it's like they concede that Hamas is bad and that there's no excuses for Hamas, but you can see that all their anger and all their energy is constantly, relentlessly directed towards Israel, solely. And that's strange. That is like a complete anti-movement. You would think that if you were to take up a cause that is abroad, you know, it's one thing if it's your own cause, your own country, okay, like you're a Palestinian, fine. But all these people who jump in from the US, Britain, and all these other places who jump in to defend Hamas and the Palestinians against Israel, that you're based on an anti-cause, right? Your cause is you are against what Israel is doing while simultaneously saying, I'm not defending Hamas for what they're doing. That's a little bit strange. Like if you were to take on, think of you somewhere, wherever you are around the world, you want to take on a cause, you believe in something that you're passionate about somewhere, about a certain people or a certain side on a certain issue, it's not just because you're against something usually, but you are in favor of something else. So if I look at, for example, China and what they're doing in Tibet for decades, where they occupied that territory and have been erasing the culture there, it's not that just that I'm against that. I'm like, I've looked at the Tibetans, and what I've seen is that they're peaceful people. You know, they haven't engaged in mass murder and bombing and terrorism. They haven't, you know, made speeches calling for violence against Chinese people or anything like that. They seem like, you know, decent, sympathetic people who are just up against a much larger power. So, you know, they're relatively decent versus, you know, a strong power that they're up against. So, you know, that would be something. If I look, for example, also Russia, Ukraine, I think Russia is pretty much a, you know, a dictatorship. They've launched aggressive wars in the past against Georgia and Chechnya and in other areas. And in this case, they launched a war against Ukraine, which is more democratic than Russia. They're not perfect. They launched a war of complete aggression against Ukraine, a complete invasion after there were, you know, months beforehand in which they had the chance to get off the tree, negotiations and so forth. And Ukraine are, you know, fighting to defend their country and sacrificing themselves and not sacrificing their own civilians or anything like that. The civilians hide in the subway, in the metro. They're not used as shields or something to, I don't know, even though that wouldn't work against Russia, of course. Like, I have sympathy for them. Like, my argument is not just an I'm against what Russia is doing while conceding that Ukraine is terrible and awful and whatever. It's like, I think they are, you know, half decent also as well. So to me, it's just strange how people who, they concede that Hamas is bad, yet they are so energetically, enthusiastically out there to bash Israel, says a lot about the movement, that it is an anti-movement. It's not a movement of caring about the Palestinians, defending the Palestinians, advocating for a different course of action that will give them a better result, but they just love the opportunity to jump in and call Israel all those things like he did to Conrad Kaster, that, you know, a genocidal and war criminal and all these things. They just love the opportunity to do that, and they really don't care about assigning any type of culpability to the other side. Medhi, 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 Medhi. Small little man Medhi. That's what you are.